This is Sue from the Mountain Canary Company. We're going to visit today about ladies and packing. This is going to be part 1. Go ahead, Ed.
Hi folks. Well, I tell you, I am so far away from being afraid of controversial subjects, I guess. But it isn't so much of a controversial subject as a realism. Most of the people that are riding in this country right now are not men, they're women. And so I think we better start paying attention to the fact that we need to encourage more ladies to get out there riding in the backcountry and riding and packing in such. I found that to be in many of my classes. Most of the people that attend my classes are ladies and are very interested in getting out there. And so we've started developing this series of videos, which will go hopefully quite extensive, and encouraging people to get out there and trying to empower them to get out there comfortably and safely to use the backcountry. Knowledge is the most strengthening tool there is. I've had a tremendous amount of experience, at least in my opinion, with ladies and working with me in the packing business, and I've been around park employee packers who are ladies. I'm impressed. I started out believing I had to take everybody I knew with me and to share the experience of packing. And the more I did, the more I realized that I was basically taking on a real chore, because a lot of them didn't have the same work ethic or opinion of how to handle the situation as I did. And I was the one responsible. So I went along for several years trying to find guys to help me. I had to find retired guys. They weren't always available. And so consequently, there to a certain point, I decided it was better to go by myself. And mainly the reason I even asked for help was I didn't have enough pack animals at the time, and I would borrow a couple of mules and put them in, but I didn't want to mix them with my string. I didn't want to mix them in the trailer. They didn't know each other, and this could be a formula for disaster. And so I'd always ask somebody to pick them up, and so I need them to go with me, and they'd lead the other part of the string and so forth. Well, after a fashion, I ended up with little piece by piece by piece. Mules are like potato chips, you can't just eat one. I ended up with enough mules to do whatever I needed to do, and pretty much enough transportation to do it. So I decided at that point to cut my losses and to go alone. So I worked alone for several years, and then I realized that probably wasn't such a good idea to be taking these 2-3 day trips by myself. I did have a radio, but the radio reception was horrid. So I started to ask a couple ladies. I asked one lady to start with who made several trips with me, had several adventures with her, with a character. She's since passed away with cancer, and Mary was dearly missed. They were easier. The ladies have been easier on the animals. They're much easier on me. They're just kind of, we don't have testosterone dripping off the trees. I really found it a lot easier at the time for what I was doing and how I had to do it. Now there's other circumstances that'll warrant to doing things differently, warrant a community question, a community solution, problem solving situation. Well, I wasn't in that world. I was in a completely different world. So we don't think for any one moment. So what I decided to do is to just have this little conversation with you all about this. It's a scary conversation because I can realize I can go left or right and get in all kinds of trouble. But I'll try not to. I hope you'll trust me enough to realize my heart's in the right place. So don't ever believe for 1 minute women aren't tough enough or strong enough to do this job. They are. I'm going to tell you one story here, then I'll move. Just one story here. I worked with the park packer named Claire. She was one heck of a packer, really nice lady. I had a couple opportunities to work with her on bigger jobs. I was utterly impressed with her skills and her attitude and the way she handled her mules. Wow, what a hand. She'd been a park packer for several years down at Grand Canyon, and she moved up here to the Northwest and worked at Olympic National Park until her retirement. Claire made many, many different trips, and when I need to know something about an area that I wasn't quite familiar with, I'd give Claire a call. And Claire retired from the Park Service several years ago now, but following a major injury. She'd been, early in the year, they were loading up cedar blanks and hauling them in to be split out for bridge planking or punching bridges. And it was a real rough area. The ground was uneven, there was loose, and as they were packing up the mules, the park mules, she got hurt. One of the mules, scrambling to get its footing, swung around and caught her in the leg and broke her lower leg to a point where when they x-rayed you could see the shape of the mule's chute. So she was gone that year. It took a year of surgery, putting her back together again. And next year she came back, she worked one more year, and that was more than a lot of people would have even come back because of the injury. And she came back, worked one more year, and then took her pension. Quite a lady, really a fine hand, and that got me really more comfortable even looking at lady packers. And at this crossroad, in Olympic National Park, I have last count, last year they had 5 professional packers working for them. And of those 5, 4 were ladies. So there's the facts, Jack. It's not that they're necessarily raising up on the lists because of their sex. I think they're raising up on the lists because of their skills. And from what I've seen of the girls that are working up there, they're good. They're really good. And again, the part about it that you really got to pay attention to is how they're dealing with your mules. Okay, for this one story, I've got a couple more. I'm going to break them up and spread them out there so you all can enjoy them a little bit more. I'll be stuffing them all onto one tape. So for now, I want to thank you all very much for coming by. And I want you to remember to ride as often as you can. Please ride safely. We'll see you.